teaching the law of Christ, honouring Christ as King. LawAndLife.org hosts free bi-weekly Bible studies on the law of God. To take part or view the recordings, sign up at LawAndLife.org by clicking on the Whiz IQ icon. God bless you as you seek to fear Him and diligently obey His word. Why study the very unpleasant subject of pornography? Well, it's a huge global industry. It has deep connections with the plague of human trafficking, and it represents the avant-garde of the Gramscian war against the Christian social order. Pornography is big business, and it's a big problem in and out of the church. This video is based on R.J. Rushdoony's 1984 book, Law and Liberty. It uses Gary North's and Ray Sutton's 5-point THEOS covenant model. It seeks to answer 5 questions. 1. Who's in charge here? Transcendence. To whom do I report? Hierarchy. What are the rules? Ethics. What happens if I disobey? Oaths. Sanctions. Does this outfit have a future? Succession. It asks these questions from the point of view of the covenant breaker, or humanist, and the covenant keeper, or Christian. Point 1. Transcendence. The humanist. For the humanist, transcendence comes from nature. Pages 24 and 25, we see that. Can we possibly imagine nature giving us the possibility of committing a crime which could offend her? So, nature is the standard against which things are to be measured, because nature is the transcendent. And flowing from that, the most independent of men and those closest to nature are savages. With impunity, they devote themselves to murder every day. So, those that are truly the devotees of nature are not the morally pure, but those that give themselves over to their own desires, be it murder or sexual perversions. For the Christian, of course, the society must be representative of God's order. We need, page 26, and must have sound legislation, but we must also establish the right kind of theological and moral foundations. If the foundations are destroyed, the structure will not stand. So God is at the foundation because He is at the pinnacle. He is the fount of transcendent wisdom and the model of transcendent order, which must be applied to the social order. Point 2. Hierarchy or representation. Humanist. The humanist seeks to overturn the Christian order. Pornography has a revolutionary social order destroying purpose. And pornography is used again and again by revolutionaries seeking to undermine the French Revolution. The Russian Revolution and other revolutions were preceded by the moral weakening effect of widespread distribution of pornography. 3. Ethics. Humanist. Good. That which is good is obscenity. Obscenity, page 21, is a cleansing process, whereas pornography only adds to the murk. Wherever a taboo is broken, something good happens, something revitalizing. So that which is evil for the Christian is good and has good results for the humanist. Again, page 22. Man is not really alive, we are told, if he lives morally. Life means evil. It means what is called sin and perversion. Only the person who sins is truly alive, it is held. Evil is life. So pornography is not merely sought as a pleasure or sought as an instrument of revolution. It is sought as life. Page 24. The Marquis de Sade called for the abolition of the death penalty, laws against theft, laws against murder, prostitution, adultery, incest, rape, sodomy, and all else. Equality required that all acts have equal standing before the law, except, of course, Christian moral laws such as monogamy, laws protecting property, and similar legislations. Again, there is a systematic destroying of the Christian moral order and a systematic desire not only to call evil good and good evil, but to have that enshrined in law. So it is the idea of pornography is not something that is to be done in a corner, according to these humanists. It is something that must be enshrined by the civil government and in the law books. Again, from page 24 and 25, we cannot commit a crime against nature that would offend her. Nature is the transcendent one, and nature knows no morals such as the Christian knows. Therefore, any moral considerations that the Christian raises are to be set aside. Page 22. Now, the first thing which is apparent in pornography is its obvious hatred of morality. Again, in all these quotes, in all these citations, there is a hatred, there is an overturning and a systematic overturning of good for evil. Again, page 23, man's greatest enemy is religion, morality, and law. Ethics, Christian, good. Dissolve man's self-government, and you make a totalitarian authority over him a social necessity. So man's self-government, according to biblical law, is something which is good and to be sought after. Page 26, the basic answer to moral anarchism is the strengthening of Christian moral discipline. So, for the Christian, the biblical moral code is to be embraced, and is to be embraced not just in principle, but in practice, as a basic qualification for living life. Oaths, sanctions, humanist, negative sanctions. Moral restraint is seen as bondage for man, page 22, as slavery which must be destroyed. If we obey, we are enslaved. Morality is seen as dull, restrictive, and immorality and perversion as exciting and liberating. Again, freedom comes from disobedience against the Christian moral order. It can be further stated that for the pornographer, morality is death. Page 22 again. So, the ultimate negative sanction, death, is seen to be the fruit of moral obedience to the Christian God and his moral law. Positive sanctions for the humanist, cleansing and revitalizing. Whenever obscenity is a cleansing process, and whenever a taboo is broken, something revitalizing happens. Page 21. Again, liberation occurs when a crime is committed, an overturning of the moral order. Page 22. Evil has the potency of a magnetic force for the pornographer. The vitality, potency, and possibility of life are wrapped up in evil. So life and vigor and power are found in evil, and this reflects in the sexual realm, in the embrace of all kinds of sexual evils for the attainment of these positive sanctions. Again, man is not really alive, we are told, if he lives morally. Life means evil. Page 23. The destiny of man is to be free from law. Page 24. De Sade says true wisdom meant not repressing our vice, since these vices constitute the only happiness in our lives. To repress them would be to become our executioners. Again, life comes from pornographic evil, and so too happiness. Page 23, we find that if we eliminate religious and moral law, according to the pornographer, all the evils of human life will disappear. So we have a disappearance of the true evils if we embrace the proximate evil of pornography. Page 25, we find that pornography itself as a socially redeeming activity and therefore justified in its own self. So man is redeemed through the act of moral sexual evil. Oaths, sanctions, Christian negative sanctions. Moral anarchism is the precursor to totalitarianism, socialism, and dictatorship. Moral anarchism, such as we have in pornography, is used to destroy social stability. So the negative sanction is social instability. And later on, a totalitarian order to redress this anarchism, this instability. Christian positive sanctions. Christianity gives to man the faith and character, that is, acting in terms of God's moral law, for self-government. Morality is the essence of self-discipline and self-government. Those that are self-governing do not need the governance of others, whether politically or in other realms. So we have the freedom to act. 5. Succession. Humanist. For Miller, obscenity has as its purpose the systematic destruction of law and moral order, a revolutionary reordering of society. So, it is held that pornography will triumph and society will be reordered. It is held by the pornographer that since morality is death, those that embrace morality and live by Christian moral codes must necessarily die. Therefore, those who embrace the life-giving virtues of pornography will continue to live. Morality again is seen as a sentence of death. Morality is held to be the dead hand of the past. The destiny of man is to be free from law, according to these pornographic men. Page 23 states that man and the state can then reconstruct society in terms of man's liberation from God and create a truly human order, the great society of humanism, the city of man. So pornography is not simply a few dirty movies or dirty stories. It is a plan for the liberation of man through the embrace of moral evil, and the hope is that this will triumph over Christianity and its moral order and will recreate a new society, a truly human society. However, for the Christian, Rushdoony quotes Psalm 127 verse 1, "Except the Lord build the house, they labour in vain that build it." So God has ordained that only the Christian moral order, only God's covenant, including his covenant law, will be successful in history ultimately. And all other houses, all other social orders and rival covenants must perish in history. Thanks to all who took part in the recording. To participate in the upcoming study, click the Whiz IQ link at LawAndLife.org. Every blessing to you and yours as you seek to know and apply God's law to every facet of your life.